All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the first Q&A of 2026. I am Cameron Jewell with Community Nourishment, and these live Q&As, they're the special offering to me. I'm really passionate about bringing awareness to asking questions, questioning everything. Why do we do what we do? Why do we believe what we believe? Why do we eat what we eat? And especially in the health and wellness world, there are just so many different brands and companies and people and gurus and doctors, and everybody's got the answer. And unfortunately, 90% of it is quackery. So when we learn how to ask questions, what's in this? How was it made? Where do the ingredients come from? Why is this going to affect me in this way? Not only does it like challenge the person who is trying to sell you something, it also just helps you to gain more information. So in these spaces, it's not just me. This is not my space. This is our space. So people will ask a question and then I offer my perspective on the question, but then I like to open the floor for everybody to ask their questions. So with that being said, let's get started. This is just a Q&A. We can go any direction with it. You can ask anything about anything and everything related to health and wellness, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Hey, Wesley, thanks for joining, dude. Momento man. All right, who's got the first question?
I'll go first.
All right.
Have you heard of NAC,
Yeah.
N-acetyl L-cysteine?
Yes.
And how do you feel about it? Because I was reading that it is partially natural, partially synthetic.
It's synthetic. And again, now
Yeah, I'm
this
just
you can
about to drop some balls.
Wesley, mute yourself for me, my
Oh,
boy.
oh,
Thank you.
I
Love
thought
you,
I
dude.
thought it was
Let,
muted.
let's mute that up. All right. Uh, so yes. Now there are foods that can offer you the same thing like beets. Beets is one of my favorite sources of that. So it's kind of one of those things like, yes, it occurs naturally, but then when we isolate that constituent and turn it into a supplement, for those of you who have heard me say this, just going to say it again. When we do that, when we isolate these constituents or these chemicals from plants, and turn it into a drug, we are taking that constituent away from its family. All plants, everything is made up of a family, a community of constituents and chemicals. So yes, NAC is natural, but what's not natural is the way that they extracted it and isolated it by itself. So it can start to act differently. But it does have some really good benefits. But like I said, like eat your beets. I know this might sound a little gross, but eat enough beets that your bowel movements look like beets. Like I eat beets every day, and sometimes it's like, oh man, am I okay? Oh no, I just ate a bunch of beets last night. Like, okay, that's great.
Okay, awesome. So I did not know NAC occurred naturally in foods. I was reading that it the cysteine that's found in foods doesn't get to the right places, and that's why you would take the supplement.
Mm, that just doesn't make
This
sense to
is
me.
it's in regards to the kidneys.
Now I could see if you were like compromised in some way, like maybe like your kidneys were already compromised and not functioning properly, or
Hmm.
if you were deficient in other minerals, because all nutrients require other nutrients and minerals to function properly. And now, mind you, I need to dive into this a little bit more before I, say anything concrete. But I will say that if it's something our body needs, then it doesn't make sense to me that we can't get it through food because God gave us everything our body needs through food. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
In this case, I am talking about someone who already has kidney issues. But what you said makes sense for healthy kidneys. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, I honestly don't want you to take my word on that. I want to dive in a little bit more. And that's the second time that thing has come up today. I don't want to, like, everything's a chemical, right? So the second time that chemical has come up today. So I think I should look into it.
Okay. All right.
Nice. Thank you. Who's next? I think a lot of people are going to come late today.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Um, I'm like completely new to this. So let's say you took the average guy. He likes going to Taco Bell once a week, probably not like the best lifestyle when it comes to like food and nutrition and things, but tries to take care of his body generally, exercises and stuff. This is a hypothetical, not me, of course. But
Looking for a
what
friend.
would you say what would you say like would be like the biggest um I guess like biggest like basic steps to like moving in a more like healthy direction in what you guys are talking about? If that makes sense. Like
Okay.
what foods would be like you gotta eat this, cut this out, stuff like that.
Yeah, great question. So it's like, all right, you hypothetically, there's somebody who already like has enough awareness to care for the body to exercise, but may not have the best diet, right? That's awesome. That's a cool foundation. One of the first things that you could do, and honestly, I want to say should, I try not to should on people, but we should take as much processed sugar out of our diets as possible. And so whenever, like, let's say you go to the grocery store to buy products, when you read the labels, and if you don't know how to read the labels, I got to figure out something to send people for that. But you'll see sugars, and then under sugars, you will see added sugars. The first sugar line is naturally occurring sugar in that food. Like if you get a fruit product, fruit has naturally occurring sugar, but that added sugar is added processed sugar. And you also want to think this. So, like sodas, right? You'll have a bottle like this big, and it will say it has like 14 grams of added sugar. That's 14 grams of added sugar before it's been liquefied. So you want to picture 14 grams of granulated sugar and how much that would fill sometimes almost half the bottle if it wasn't liquefied. And that stuff, like Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. There are people in their early 20s now that are being diagnosed with early onset dementia and Alzheimer's because of sugar. Sugar is very addictive and it deteriorates the tissue in the body. So, boom, first thing, let's cut out as much processed sugar as we can. And that's hard, especially if we've been eating it for a long time. You literally become addicted to it. So there are other things that you can do in the meantime. Like I love honey because I'm a sweet tooth. It's one of my hardest things. You can get really good quality chocolate, cacao, dark chocolate. You can get some honey and make sometimes I'll mix that up with cacao when I'm really have a craving. I'll just take a spoonful of that. Um, and we also don't want to torture ourselves. We still live in this world. So again, somebody who's starting fresh with this radical change is not sustainable. So it's like, okay, to make a food journal. And a food journal, people hate it. But what you do, and you can use the notes app on your phone or you can write it down. And every day when you eat, you write down what time you're eating and a brief description of what you're eating. And then if you have the time to set an alarm for 20 minutes later, you do a body scan. Okay, how do I feel? When you start bringing this type of awareness to your eating, you will start to realize like, wow, I've been drinking this soda for years now, but now that I bring awareness to it, I realize that my stomach starts to hurt 20 minutes after I drink it, or my knee injury will start to flare up. Little things like this. So you want to bring awareness to what you're eating and how it's affecting you, and then you've got some patterns. So you see, oh wow, man, I eat a chocolate bar every day. All right. On these 2 days, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm not going to eat a chocolate bar on those 2 days. But if you've got it in you and you're ready to go all the way, like, all right, do it. But it's really hard. So that would be my first recommendation. Keep track of your food, start to recognize patterns, and then make a plan to make small, shifts in what you're eating. And hydrate, 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 hydrate. And drinking just plain water is great, but a lot of people don't know that when we drink plain water, we're just flushing. We're just flushing, and that's great. You want to flush, but to get that water into your cells, to truly hydrate the tissues of your body, you want to put like a pinch of Celtic salt, sea salt, or take like some electrolytes or a mineral formula because minerals are what helps to carry that water into your cells. But if you start drinking a gallon of water every day with some salt in it, That alone is going to do a lot for you. And then I tell people fruits in the morning. You can eat as much fruits as you want in the morning, unless you're like diabetic, but your average person can eat as much fruits as they want in the morning because all that natural sugar in there, you're going to work it out through the rest of the day. You're going to expend that energy. Fruit is our species specific fruit food. We are supposed to be eating it. But in the mornings, and then for lunch and dinner, whatever quality protein you want, and vegetables. And if you can, I have a saying, and I learned it from my teacher. I adopted her saying, whoever eats the most vegetables wins. Straight up. Like, you want to be the best what you do? Eat a bunch of vegetables. Let's see, Wesley. Baja Gold. Yes, Wesley. I met a lady who's so passionate about Baja Gold salt that she had like printed handouts in her purse. It was awesome. Anybody else have some questions?
I kind of have like a follow-up question to like
Yeah.
the that hydrating your cells. I have heard a lot about creatine. I was really big into lifting. I never took it. I pretty easily could have. I didn't have a reason necessarily not to, but I know that it helps hydrate like and put more water in your muscles to kind of dilute the lactic acid. Does it do a similar thing for cells or not on a cellular level?
I'm going to say yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to creatine, though, you got to source it from a good company. And actually, if you hold on one moment, I'll grab one that I trust. It's one of the more affordable but cleaner versions, and you can get this big thing on Amazon for like 25 bucks. It's NutriCost. But and it's really important. I have seen creatine really help people, and I've also seen creatine kind of make some dudes crazy. There's a chance they were on steroids as well. So I don't know. If you want to, it can disrupt sleeping patterns, at least for the first week or so. And you've already used it, so you know how your body responds to it. Just make sure you get a good, clean one. But for anybody on here listening that hasn't worked with it, do some research. Make sure I would recommend that you take it before working out so you're actually using that energy it creates. Because I've met people that take it at night and then they can't sleep all night. Uh, right. Let's see. Refillery said, are there certain fruits that you should mix together? That's a great question. What you should not do is mix fruits and vegetables together. And since reminded me of that, I want to say that because a lot of people will make smoothies and they'll put fruits and vegetables, kale, and all sorts of stuff. And fruits and vegetables actually compete for digestion. And vegetables take longer to digest than fruits. And then it turns into this weird kind of like rancid thing going on in your stomach. So always separate fruits and vegetables and eat your fruits first if you have to eat them close together. Um, but honestly, I can't. And if somebody in here can think of some fruits and vegetables that you shouldn't mix together, let me know. I mean, some fruits that you shouldn't mix together, let me know. I love mixing. I usually do. I have a saying I tell my clients, I say a smoothie a day keeps the BS away. And it does help a lot. I'll do melons, bananas, and all the berries. Sometimes I'll treat myself and get some mangoes and do mangoes. I think you can mix them all up. Joni, you got something to add?
I'm driving. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Oh, no, not really. It's been a long day, but I've everything you said are things that I have put into my regimen and have worked really well for me. I've seen a huge jump in my energy level, mainly my stamina, just, getting kind of a rhythm. I think the most important thing I heard you say is getting that relationship with your food and what it does in your body. That's the most helpful thing I did at the beginning with you is I journaled like religiously. I am not journaling as much now because it's become embodied now the way I eat. So, but it was super valuable for 3, 4 months. And, if I feel myself slipping off again, getting a little complacent, I'll probably start doing it again.
I like how thanks for bringing that because these things, like, they're inconvenient, they're not fun, but they're not forever, you know?
Right.
And I have found, especially in the work that I do, the people who do not have the discipline to keep a food journal for even a week, 2 weeks, they're not going to have the discipline to make the changes necessary. And Joni, you did it. You kept your food journal and you were consistent enough to really see the changes and then continued on with that. And I really like that. Because unfortunately, I feel like this is shifting and I want to stay positive, but it's like 8 out of 10 people aren't going to do what they have to do to get the results that they want to get. So remember that, like every time you write down what you're eating and what time it is, and you're making logs in those food journal, you are showing up for yourself. You're saying, hey, I'm serious. I want to pick up on these patterns. I want to feel better, get healthier. And maybe you don't feel bad right now, but you do know that you could feel better, or you want to prevent illness in the future. I was talking with somebody earlier who she has cleaned up her diet. She's doing great. She went to Dunkin' Donuts, because she hadn't had one. She wanted to treat herself and she drank it and it made her very sick. And that will happen. Your body will start to reject this stuff, especially after you give it a break. And the thing is whether you feel it right away or it catches up with you later in the form of maybe an aggressive cancer, or maybe you catch every cold or flu that comes around. The food that we eat affects us whether we realize it in the moment or not. So that's my little soapbox on that.
I'll say one more thing. I discovered some definite food sensitivities, like especially to processed carbs or processed food at all. I mean, I could feel the inflammation in my body right away. And because I was then practicing mindfulness, it began to empower me, because I was a mindless eater. I was an
It is
emotional
so
eater, you know.
empowering. And
Yes.
so, like, one little thing that we can think of too is like we want to eat the ingredients. We'll buy these products that have ingredients in them, but it usually has a bunch of ingredients in them. And what you want to eat ingredients, not things with ingredients. So, your fruits, your vegetables, your meat, these are ingredients, not products with ingredients. Let's see. Refillery said, I read that as well. The Mayans and folks in South America say not to mix bananas, which is the base of most smoothies. Yeah, I've never read that. Now, the only time I would tell people to not eat bananas is if they have diarrhea. But it's all really interesting because there are doctors that will say you have diarrhea, eat bananas. And then there are doctors that will say, oh, you're constipated, eat bananas. And then you have people that say like all bananas here in the United States are garbage because they are GMO. And truly, if you go to like a South American country and you get a banana and you cut that thing in half, the seeds are massive. Like the bananas are different in this country. But I've never really heard of that. But I wanted to add one more thing too to what Joni was saying about, how she feels empowered. Listen, you guys, the majority of people in this Western world, they are inflamed. Their brains are inflamed, their bodies are inflamed, they're in pain. Sometimes they don't even realize it because they've been inflamed for so long that they don't know any difference. And they're really, this is, just my opinion, but I feel like there's just not much better than being vital, having so much strength and vitality in your body. Like wherever you go, people feel that, especially if you're around a bunch of inflamed zombies. Like they feel that because they want it. Something inside of them wants it. And the best example that we can be for our communities, for our families, for ourselves is healthy. And to be healthy, it's food, bottom line. Even herbs and supplements, they can only complement a healthy foundation that is your diet. Everything is built off of what you eat. And I raise this question a lot, and I get really interesting responses, but I say, what is more important than the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, and the water that we drink? And the answer is nothing. Some people will be like, well, God is more important. I'm like, I guess you're going to meet him very soon if you don't have any air, like all these things. Love is more important. How are you going to love if you haven't had water in 3 days? You're going to die. You know what I mean? Like these are the three most important things. So yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody of that. Ashley said, it's true. I grew up on processed food, changed my diet slowly but surely, and now I can't eat 90% of the fast food out there. I feel awful after a fast food meal. Yes, Refillery said I had gastric bypass and I can't eat anything anymore unless it's fresh foods. I'm in so much pain if I eat out and my mental health takes a turn. And that's so true. And it's really kind of inconvenient, you guys. It's hard. We are constantly bombarded by signs and fast food and advertisements, and these things are addictive. And then it's like, okay, you're changing your ways, but what if people in your family don't? Or what if you're surrounded by people that eat these processed poisonous foods? It's really hard. So we have to also be kind to ourselves, you know, not be ignorant, like, oh, I'm eating this thing that I know is going to inflame me, and now I feel like shit. You know, be honest with yourself, but you will get to a point where you're like, you don't want to make that conscious decision. You're just tired of feeling bad. And it's okay if you have to stub your toes several times before you stop kicking that wall. You know, it's really hard.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. We got to get going, but this was really, really cool. Thank you
You
so
guys
much.
rock. Thank you. I'll see you
You rock.
Sunday.
See you Sunday.
You guys, I love getting Mormons at my gatherings. I love it. All right. So, who has another question? I see more people popping in. That's awesome. Thank you. If you have joined later, just know if you these are recorded and posted publicly. So if you want to ask a question without your face in it, that's fine. Or if you want to type it, or if you want to just join the party all the way, whatever you want.
I've acquired a fine set of nutrients, and I will find you, and I will feed you.
Okay, Wesley. Thank you for that.
I don't know the pop culture reference. I think James Bond. He's
Have you drank water today? Have you had your vegetables?
yeah, like I haven't been eating veggies a lot.
Good.
I'm sorry, no.
All right, everybody. I mean, I could just go off on
I met
on a
that Paulo
random.
Saladino guy, the carnivore guy at Whole Foods. And my friend MF Jones, he's so Paulo Saladino pilled is what I call it, but he's like full carnivore. But I met the guy. But I've been you know me, just like fruits, meat and dairy, but I definitely got to up the veggie intake. And you really helped me with that back when we were kicking it.
You know, man, that's a thank you for bringing that point because there are, and like I was saying with how hard it can be to change your diet, just to make that harder, you have every other scroll or every other thing coming at you is somebody else telling you what's the best way to eat. And you have these extremists. Listen, I'm in the middle. I think that carnivores are just as extreme as vegans, and I have seen some serious health problems from each side. Now, with that said, what I've seen with vegans are people like in Jamaica, there are certain races of people that do really well with just fruits and vegetables, but they're usually closer to the equator, live in much different environments than we do. But I do believe that most people, especially from European descent, require meat. And that gets really hard because they're, especially, you know, with veganism, there's a lot of emotions attached to it, the way that animals are treated. And I get that. I think that when you do eat meat, and I do believe most of us need meat, you've got to source it from local farms. You've got to know where your meat is coming from and how the animals are treated. And something like with carnivore and with vegan, you will see cool results for the first like 3 to 6 months on either one. And a lot of it has to do with just gunk and buildup. And one thing about both of those diets, mostly the carnivore, because vegan, you know, you have these processed food like items that are vegan, but they have a bunch of artificial ingredients in them. And so I see that a lot in the vegan communities. They're eating products that aren't really food, but they're vegan. And some way, somewhere along the line, vegan started to become synonymous with healthy, and it's not. But if you're like one of those whole food vegans or carnivore, one thing that they're gonna have in common is you're not eating processed junk. So a lot of times those results that we get that people get, they feel good. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they're just not eating processed junk anymore. And that's important. But I don't find, and again, you know, I'm just one person, I'm just a girl that likes to talk about stuffs. I don't find that either of those are very sustainable long term. We have vegetables for a reason. We've been eating animals for a reason. But I myself have experimented with both. And when I eat just meat for too long, I just feel kind of, But if I'm just eating vegetables, especially as somebody who does a lot of weightlifting, I don't feel strong enough. I feel really tired. So that was a nice little direction to take that, Wes. Thanks, dude. Let's see what folks are saying. Met someone yesterday who was so impressed with vegan peanut brittle, and I read the ingredient label of all the seed oils and gums, etc. A lot of vegans do not realize how much garbage is still in it. They don't. And something that I've seen again on both sides with these extremes is they're also kind of cult-like. And I have seen it here in St. Augustine, there's just a lot of it. And like people be like, oh, I'm vegan. And then like three other people are like, good for you. Way to go. All right. And like, cool, great, but then I've seen them also kind of shame people who eat meat. And I puff my chest out in those situations. I used to, because it's shaming people on the way that they eat doesn't help much either. Kind of feel like a hypocrite saying that because I do make fun of people sometimes for being dehydrated, but everything in moderation, right? Speaking as a non-meat eater myself, I get so scared with everything on the shelves. Oh, it's so hard. It really is. It really is. And now, are you a non-meat eater because you shared up here that you had the bypass surgery, or is that like is it hard for you to digest meat now, or is if you don't mind sharing like what your preferences are? Yes, most meats are hard to digest. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think plus I can hear them crying. I love you so much. Yeah, it is important. That's why, like, since almost the beginning of time, well, no, I'm not going to say that, but since humans have been eating meat, it has usually been combined with other herbs. Like coriander is really good to cook meat with, and they will usually combine meat with herbs to help make the digestive process easier. And kind of like with raw fruits and vegetables, I don't like there are people out there eating raw meat, and then there are people on raw diets. And some people, they've got nice, strong iron stomachs, they can handle that. But like me with the history of Crohn's, I had Crohn's for 15 years and I had to work really hard to remedy that. And a big part of it was I had to cook everything that I ate. When you cook your vegetables, even my smoothies, when I make smoothies, I use boiling water when I make the smoothies. And when you cook the vegetables, you're actually pre-digesting. You are breaking down the chemical bonds and helping that food to be absorbed and through your digestive tissue much easier. Wesley said, I've been eating raw cam. Funny, I actually just ate venison, beef, heart, and liver mixed ground up raw with agave, ketchup, and coriander. Well, I gotta say, you're one of the most wild people that I know in the world. So I'm not surprised, my guy. I just warm it on the skillet or put it in the oven. It's not raw if you warm it or put it in the oven. But I'm glad that you're doing that. I struggle with the raw veggies, so yeah, I'd love to learn that. If you guys go to my website, communitynourishment.org, and you click on the blogs and education tab, I've got some recipes in there. I've got a really good coffee recipe, but I have a roasted roots, roasted.
Oh, they're the best.
They're so
The
good.
roasted root veggies I live on. I mean, that's my staple. Yes.
Yep, I just had a bunch like an hour ago. I call it brain food,
Yeah.
and now there are some days where I'll only eat vegetables for dinner, and then there are some days where I'll only eat some chicken thighs. So it's not like I do my best to get vegetables every day, but sometimes I can't. But I do have to have them 3 or 4 times a week. And fruit almost every day. In the winter time, sometimes I'll skip fruit some mornings, but if I skip my smoothie too many days in a row, I can start to feel it. And like what the refillery had said, uh, I want to say your name, but it's not on here, so I don't want to do that without your permission. Damn, what did they say? Totally forgot. Gone. Oh, yes, how her mental health. She can see the difference, feel the difference in her mental health. And when I tell you guys, anybody that struggles with severe mental health disorders, you've got to check your diet. Because when you're eating these processed, refined carbohydrates, processed sugars, it is inflammation. And that inflammation goes straight to your brain. I am somebody who has dealt with severe CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, polarized mood disorder. I've really had to work hard, and so I know what it is to suffer from mental illness. And if I was not militant about the way that I eat, I mean, I have paranoid schizophrenia runs in my family on my father's side, the CPT, all the things alone. I have to do it, and when I cheat, I pay for it, and it sucks. So now I've had to work, okay, what are my cheat days, right? Amy, you're raising your hand. Did you do that on purpose? You want to tune
No, it
in?
was an accident.
Oh, okay. My cheat days, like I'll go to the store and I'll get those HU chocolate bars. It's like made for human. Those don't inflame me too much. Now, if I eat two of them back to back, which I'm capable of, yes, I feel it. But I'll take, or my favorite is cacao nibs crushed up, and I cover those with like I'll have probably a jar this big. I'll fill it with like that bit much crushed cacao, and then the rest of the way with honey. And sometimes I'll grind up some rose petals and put that in there and mix it up and use that. Or we've been doing like honey with cashews, or I'll get some raw milk from the farmer's market and make cacao with that Orca cacao. So you can still cheat, but harm reduction. All right, don't go get a pack of Oreos. Maybe go to your local farmer's market and see if you can find someone who makes sourdough cookies because they probably do, or honey with cashews and nuts. Like you can reduce the harm.
Cameron, it's Joni. Can I say something?
Please.
So I also struggle with complex PTSD. And when I started this journey that you were a formative part of, and I started meeting with you, I have pretty much just wholesale sold out to Western medicine and expected them to fix what really was a dysregulated nervous system that I'm telling you has been all but healed through what I put in my mouth and meditation, my faith in God. I mean, all of it, but it started with the food journaling, is where it all started. And it started with developing a new relationship and loving my body, loving myself enough to love my body and what I'm putting in it. I love cooking so much now. I grow all my own herbs. It's, excuse me, there's a siren, a fire truck turning down my neighborhood. But it's been an amazing transformation in 5 short months. And, I'm not obsessively jumping on the scale but my doctor's about ready to take me off blood pressure medicine. I mean, I've been on blood pressure medicine for 30 years. I'm 64 years old and I'm down to a quarter dose right now, and my blood pressure's dead on or a little low. And this is all was started through food tinctures, the blue vervain, the things that you targeted, Cameron, that helped me to get a handle on it. And now I don't use them as regular as I did, but I feel like I know my body well enough now that it tells me what to give it and when to do it. And, it isn't perfect, and I haven't given up every bad habit, but shaming yourself into it will never work. But as my nervous system gets more regulated because of the food, when you're dysregulated, you eat more fast food, you eat more junk, you don't even pay attention to what you're putting in your body, you don't know what does what, you're wholesale selling out to doctors that are just giving you pills. And I was in the ER 6 times in 6 months for hypertensive crises. I was told I had heart failure. I was told I had a brain disease. I don't have any of that. All I have was a dysregulated autonomic nervous system that has been healed a large part through food.
Food
Okay.
is everything. Thank you for sharing that, Joni. It's really important. And like you said, how you're able to tune into your body now and listen to your body. And I want everybody here, like, if you take one thing out of this session tonight, is that your body is amazing. The human body is the most incredible technology aside from the planet itself, and it knows what to do. It knows how to heal itself. It can do things that we aren't even aware of yet. We just discovered in the last 10 years that our brain has its own lymphatic system. It's called the glymphatic system. It is a waste drainage system for your brain that science has only discovered in the last 10 years. There's so much about this organism that we all reside in that we have no idea about. All right. But what we do know is that it was designed in a certain way to function in a certain way and require certain nutrients to do so. The fruits, the vegetables, the animals, what God gave us. And when we cut out what man has made, these food-like products, and and to be honest, a lot of these kind of started. There have been famines, Spam is so revered in some Eastern countries because it kept people from dying, but we're not living there anymore. And inorganic fruits and vegetables are way more nutrient dense than Taco Bell or McDonald's, like because we can get caught up on that too. Well, it's not organic. What do I do? If it, eat the rainbow, eat as many colors as you can from what the earth gave us, hydrate your body and move it. And the more that you do that, you are showing your body, hey, I love you, I care for you, I want you to heal, and it will respond to you. But unfortunately, we are so disconnected from our bodies, we don't even know how they function. Most people, if I asked you to point to your liver, they wouldn't know where to point, which also has been discovered in the last couple of decades. The liver can regenerate, but the lungs too. So like a third of the lungs can regenerate. You could cut off the tip of your lung and it will regrow like we're lizards. Like how awesome is that? How crazy is that? And here we are living in one. And Joni's a testimony. I'm a testimony. A lot of people on here Laura's in here, Ashley's in here. The more that you love and show up for your body, it's going to respond. It really is. So thanks for sharing that, Joni. And then Danielle said dates with peanut butter. Yep, dates are a really good alternative. They're sweet. They get that glucose spike that your body's addicted to without all the extra side effects. Ashley said, I just realized the other day my town is full of Yaupon holly. I brought some home, harvested away from the roadside, of course. That's great. What are your favorite uses for Yaupon? So Yaupon is the only native plant that we have in North America that contains caffeine. And actually, back in the day when coffee and tea was a big international trade, they were trying to eradicate Yaupon so they could make more money off of the imported tea and coffees. So it does have caffeine, so be aware of that. And that's what I like to use it for. Now you can even kind of go ahead, Joni.
It's an emetic, right? It was used to
the berries are the Latin name is vomitoria. Something vomitoria something.
Ilex vomitoria.
Thank you. Yeah. Ilex vomitoria. The berries will make you vomit. But that too has a medicinal purpose. Let's say you ingested some poison and you need to get it out. Eat a handful of those, you're puking. But I don't recommend eating the berries. And they're red. They're red, and you just always tread lightly. Not all red berries are bad, but it's always something to ask. But you can, and a lot of people work with Yaupon holly when they're camping. So they'll take a cast iron skillet and put a handful of the leaves in there and put it over the fire and shake it up and roast it. And it's still going to have the caffeine, but it acts a little bit different in the body, but not too much. The biggest point there is it changes the flavor profile. So you can roast them before making a tea with them, drink them as a tea. You can do a hot infusion. You can put it in your water bottle. What I'll do when I put plants in my water bottles, but again, I'm crazy, kind of like with my tea that I keep on the stove for 3 days and keep reusing. This actually saved me in Colombia. I went to Medellin, South America, Colombia, and I was in the city and I had to drink tap water. There was no other water for me to drink, but my friend's grandmother was growing Cuban oregano. So I would take the Cuban oregano and stuff, and even there, I had to find an old plastic Coca-Cola bottle, and that is what I used for my 10 days that I was in Colombia. And I just kept stuffing it with the Cuban oregano, and every 3 days I would get it out and put new Cuban oregano in there. And I did great. I didn't get sick. I had a good time. So yeah, you could just put the Yaupon holly, or you could put your holy basil in here. Like I can't think of a herb that is safe that you can grow that you can't put in your water bottles and then just keep refilling it for a couple of days. I'm glad that you discovered that. And honestly, and Joni, correct me if I'm wrong or add if you know, can Yaupon holly be propagated by breaking off one of the branches and sticking it in the ground?
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
I'm
Don't
not
know the
sure
answer.
either. But if you can get one and plant it near your house, it's easy to do.
That's a great idea. I have a secondary question to that.
Yeah.
What benefits will I get from it?
Um, so one cool thing about caffeine. Oh gosh, hold on, let me try to retrieve this. There is a process in the body called so I can't think of the name of the process right this minute, but I will. But what the process does is our body has this oh, it's gonna bug me if I can't tell you the name of it though. So what caffeine does, and this is why too, they will recommend like green tea for cancers. The name of the process isn't as important right now. I'm gonna tell myself so I don't freak out. But our body has this system built in it where if you have a tumor in your body, Genesis. Your body, the tumor will send out chemicals to then have your body grow new blood vessels to attach to that tumor and become a source of food. And there are certain foods that can turn that process on or off, and caffeine is one of them because our body only requires a certain amount of blood vessels. So it also has this system built in where it can detect extra blood vessels and cut them off at the source. This book right here, Eat to Beat Disease,
Huh?
is what I learned a lot about that process in this book. And it is,
That's really crazy what you just said. You just blew my mind.
isn't that wild? And
Yeah, it really is.
it's bugging the heck out of me that I can't think of the name of the process because I love it so much. Angiogenesis.
Okay.
Angiogenesis. Yep. That's the name of the process. So your body can grow, but it's also really cool because let's say one of your arteries or blood vessels gets damaged from any reason. Maybe you had a stroke or a heart attack or a lifestyle, whatever. Your body can regrow a new one if it becomes too damaged. And there are foods, and this book talks a lot about the foods. Broccoli's a good one, all of your berries, caffeine. And that, I'm a really big advocate for coffee. Now, not for your Dunkin' Donuts or your Starbucks coffee, but caffeine does offer a lot of health benefits. While it can be constrictive, it can also help to relax blood vessels or keep blood flowing very well. But again, not Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. You want to get fresh coffee beans, grind them up, use a French press. I always recommend people get rid of their coffee machines because they tend to harbor a lot of mold. But French presses don't because you just rinse them out each time you're done. Fresh beans. And then if you buy the coffee beans already ground up, the chances of there being mold in there is very high. But yeah, or the Yapon tree, like that's perfect. You could replace your coffee with that if you wanted to.
That's exciting and awesome.
Yeah,
And
great
I have
question.
not used my coffee pot since your in-person class where I got a French press. I've been using that every day. Coffee
Yay.
pot is unplugged and hasn't been touched.
Love that. We got to do another one of those classes soon.
I agree.
Anybody else have a question? Let's see. Oh, that was the same. All right. We got a few more minutes. Oh, also, you guys, listen, no pressure. I do these for free because I love it, but I do want to let you know that there is this kitty cat. I have named him Tommy, and he needs a lot of medical care, and I'm going to pay for it myself. We're looking at like $500. So I'm gonna put my Venmo and Cash App in here, and my phone number if anybody wants to Zelle, if you would like to contribute, because Tommy is a sweet boy, and we have to capture him tonight, and then he's coming to live with me. So there's that. Well, this was fun, you guys. We got some good questions. Anybody else? Anything? Heard to only drink coffee black without glucose or dairy. Thanks for mentioning that, Wesley. So if you're fasting, you can drink black coffee. But if you add dairy or anything else to it because of the glucose or because of the fats and things like that, it changes. You're no longer fasting. So now I do like me. I always call it my dirty little sin, my Chobani creamer. It's like the best creamer you can get at the grocery store. They use cane sugar, but it's still sugar and it's still dairy. But I love it. But I also put a lot, like I put mushrooms in my coffee and I like to mask that taste if I can. But honestly, drinking your coffee black is best. And if you are going to use dairy or anything else in there, just make sure it's the best. Yeah, Wesley said you can add butter or beef tallow or coconut oil straight up. I really like MCT oil, that stands for medium chain triglycerides. And I get a pretty big thing of it. It lasts me a couple of months, and I just squirt that into every cup of coffee. It is brain food. It was actually one of the things we were giving my grandfather, who had dementia for 15 years. We were giving him MCT oil and lion's mane mushroom, and the results we saw were amazing. I mean, we watched a man that could not speak, feed himself, take care of himself, go from just saying like it did, like it did, like it did all the time to he picked the newspaper up one day, hadn't done that in years. It was upside down, but before the disease, he read the newspaper every day. He started writing one day, hadn't written in years. It was all gibberish, but he was doing that. So I really believe if we would have got him started on those two things years before, he would not have declined like he did, if at all. So MCT oil, lion's mane, they go right in my coffee every morning. And there are not a lot of things that I say, everybody needs this, because everybody's body is different. But two things that I do believe everybody needs is magnesium chloride. There's not a single person on this planet that doesn't need magnesium, because we have to have it. It's actually one of the key elements that our bodies formed from, and we're all very deficient in it. Magnesium chloride is one of the ones you will hear about the least, but is the most powerful. And you use it externally. It goes right through your skin into your bloodstream, and then your body has these systems built in to be able to detect, you know what? If we don't get magnesium over here, like your heart, for instance, the left ventricle that pumps the blood to the rest of your body needs more magnesium than anywhere else in your body, and we need a lot of magnesium. And your body has these systems say, yo, if we don't get some magnesium to that ventricle, to the heart right now, it might not be good. And then the lion's mane, because of the amount of toxins and neurotoxins and chemicals and things that we are exposed to, lion's mane regenerates nerve cells throughout your nervous system. Literally can take dead nerve cells and bring them back to life. It's awesome. So that's all I got for
I'll
you there.
say one more. Can I say one more thing on
Yeah,
that, Cameron?
yeah, we got time.
Yeah. So I've been doing the lion's mane, I'd say 90% of the time in my coffee. I was thinking about adding the MCT oil. I use a lot of avocado oil. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Instead of olive oil, I've been using more of that in the cooking, but the olive oil when I'm having it on salad or in cold things. Does that sound?
Olive oil, having it on cold things is good. Now, if you're in a pinch and you have to choose between canola oil and olive oil to cook with, definitely the olive oil. But it is one of those oils that don't heat very well and can turn bad.
Right.
Avocado, I think coconut oil is the best to cook with. It really is. It can handle high heat. You're getting the MCT oil, the healthy brain fats. But if you want to cook with avocado oil, it still can tolerate high heat. It's healthy. And then just get some MCT oil. And you can put coconut oil in your coffee, and it has MCT in it, but the MCT oil extracted is stronger.
Yes, I would probably like the taste better. So, because it's kind of neutral, right?
It is neutral. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And be careful. One thing I will say, some people, especially if they have questionable digestive systems, You want to like start with less, just a little bit, and work your way up because it can evacuate your bowels, which isn't
Right.
really a bad thing. That can help. You just don't want to have diarrhea for more than 48 hours because of risk of dehydration. So
Right.
if anybody on here takes some MCT oil and then you're in the bathroom and you're like, oh my God, what did I do? That's a normal response. Just give it a break, then take less. Make sure you hydrate.
And again, it just emphasizes the journaling. And I still journal. I don't write it all the time, but I journal on Chat GPT, and I'll have that reference in case I have a bad reaction to something or I have one of those dysregulated moments. But getting back to your lion's mane and just the eating clean, my executive functioning has improved so much that I'm taking on side work now. I couldn't have even thought about it 5 months ago. So it's really been an amazing transformation. So
I had a
it
man
works.
who had fried his brain from drugs. Fried. It was like fried eggs in there. And I was giving him lion's mane. And then all of a sudden he was saying sentences like, well, if we put this fence here, it might compromise the property line. It's like, yes, look at that. And then Ashley said, "So you cook with coconut oil? Did I hear that right?" Yes, yes, you did. I've cooked with coconut oil for the last decade. It's the only oil I'll cook with, other than raw butter, tallow, beef, stuff like that. I'll cook my like meat in raw butter sometimes for that extra punch. But yep,
The other thing I've found real valuable and what I've enjoy a lot is I had never eaten is goat cheese. I don't know how you feel about that, but I love it. I mean, it's become kind of, because just a tiny bit goes so far. It just adds this savoriness to things.
when it comes to cheese, goat cheese is one of the healthiest. And now I get some pushback on this, and it really surprises me. Now, listen, I'm big on raw dairy. But if you're getting your dairy from these factory farmed cows that live in disgusting conditions and they are not taken care of, you need to,
Yeah.
that can't be raw dairy.
No, I locally source it, and I love it that we have the outpost in Interlaken now. It's fantastic. I don't know if you've heard about it, but they're great. They have a lot of herbal, teas, dried teas, and they're good brands, and it's nice. Yeah,
But
very nice.
and but when we buy the pasteurized milk from the grocery store, you're drinking a dead product. And a lot of people don't know that. Like milk is supposed to have beneficial bacteria in it. So I like raw cheese, raw dairy. I love goat cheese. I like to get it raw, but also if you're like battling IBS or Crohn's or some severe digestive disorder, you want to heal that digestive tissue. Take a couple of years to heal that digestive tissue before you do any dairy, whether it's raw or not. Wesley said, I heard a statistic that says 90% of cheese in the US is from Pfizer and has synthetic rennet, or that may just be Parmesan specifically. Pfizer is really messing with a lot of our food. It really is. And that's why I think it's really important to source as much of your food from local farmers as you can, because we just really can't trust what's in the grocery store. Even that egg brand Vital Farms, they just had some studies come out that they're it's not really as organic as they're promoting it. There were the chemical weird things. Like I definitely look into that, especially if you eat that brand of eggs. Somebody did some investigation and what they found was not good. Or I used to many years ago, I used to drink the Fairlife chocolate milk at the beginning of my journey. I really liked it and I thought it was good. And then it came out, somebody busted them. They were abusing their cows so bad. And that's just, we would like to hope and think that these companies are taking care of their animals and they have our best interests at heart. But unfortunately, most of them don't. They want to make money. They want to make as much money as they can, which means they're going to cut corners as much as they can.
Yeah, I think that series Food on Netflix is really good. And, it got me thinking about the pasture raised beef versus, and how those CAFOs and those cows are standing in their own crap all day and they feed them all this corn that they're not made to eat instead of grass. And, I'd love to hear that question in another series, and what that does inside our body cumulatively when we do buy that kind of beef and those kind of products, chicken, whatever.
I will say, I'll share this last thing before we all part ways. there was a study done where they had chickens and they had one chicken on this side, one set of chickens on this side of the barn, and another set of chickens on this side of the barn. And they were only giving chickens antibiotics to one side of the chickens. Within 2 weeks, and then because bacteria is amazing, as soon as bacteria meets each other, they exchange information on what antibiotics they are resistant to, and immediately that bacteria will become resistant to whatever this one is, and they just spread that like crazy. So the chickens that they were giving the antibiotics to, they within 2 weeks, they had developed a resistant to that antibiotic already. 2 weeks after that, the other side of chickens who were not receiving the antibiotics were resistant to that antibiotics. 2 to 3 months, the family living in the house developed a resistance to that antibiotic. And then over like a year or two, it spread to the little town, because it was a small little rural county that they did this experiment in. So when we are eating these foods of these animals that have been pumped full of antibiotics, bacteria, man, we're like waging a war on bacteria that we will not win. They are incredibly intelligent and they will outlast us for sure. So when we're hitting them with these antibiotics and then consuming them, we're putting ourselves at risk. Whatever antibiotics those animals have been pumped with, those antibiotics are learning how to become resistant, and then we're eating that, and then we're gaining that resistance. And this is why it's a growing problem that even in hospitals, people are not able there. These bacterial infections are killing people because we don't have any antibiotics for them anymore because they've all developed a resistance. So yeah, that we'll end on that note. What our animals eat, we also eat. Just like with the vegetables that we eat, vegetables are beings too, and they need food. So when the soil is being loaded with toxins and chemicals, the vegetables and the fruit and the food is absorbing that, and then we're eating that, and then we're absorbing that. And there's only so much we can do. We don't have a lot of control, and it's not healthy for us to live in fear all the time and think that we're poisoning ourselves. So it's like, all right, harm reduction. I'm big on let's pray over our food, because I believe that God is all powerful and more powerful than whatever is going on down here. So pray over your food, but do your best to look up the Dirty Dozen, and it might even be like the Dirty 15 now, and it'll give you a list of the fruits and vegetables that you want to try your best to get organic because they have the most amount of pesticide use. But then all the other ones, like I said, inorganic fruits and vegetables are still going to be more nutrient dense than McDonald's or half the stuff in the middle of the grocery store. Wash it really well. I'm a weirdo. I don't wash my vegetables very often, or if I do, I just rinse it. But I also go straight to the source. Sometimes I pull my carrots right out of the ground. I can see and I want those microbes. I want that bacteria. I want that soil. But if you're getting your food at the grocery store, wash it well, pray over it, cook it, eat it with love. All right, everybody. Is that it? Oh, let me see. Raw dairy only for me if I can. Don't be a linoleic Larry. Don't be a linoleic Larry. Oxidized lipids from usually seed oils, but can be other hexane bleached factory oil. Yeah. Also, there's you can look up. It's called Seed Oil Rebellion. Or if you go to Community Nourishment and hit the resources tab, you'll see it's like Seed Oil Rebellion. It's really It's a cool website, worth looking into. You want to avoid seed oils as much as possible. Refined carbs, processed sugars, step by step, you guys, poco and poco. Just make your food journal, pay attention to the patterns, tune into your body, and then make a plan. All right, here's one food item I'm going to take out for the next 2 weeks and see how I feel, little by little.
That's how you do it.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. I love you.
Thank you. Love you. Bye, Cameron.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.